Caitlin, you're sharing with John today? Yes. Thank you, appreciate that. All right, tables. Goal is slope and y-intercept from a table. DJ, have a seat or stand in the back. One or the other, please. All right, so we said, as Sam reminded us today, how do we find y-intercept? How do we know the y-intercept? It's when x is 0. When x is 0. So look at this table behind me. This first one for A. Do we know where x is 0? No, we have to figure it out, right? We have to figure it out. We're looking for that 0 right here, so we don't know what the y is. So to figure that out, we have to figure out the slope. We have to figure out the change. Figure out that constant proportionality. So what's my change in y? Is there a pattern? There is, right? The pattern is plus 3. Is there a pattern with the x's? There is. It's plus 1. So my slope is going to be 3, right? So my slope is 3. So knowing that, let's back it up and find this y. So how did I get from 1 to 0? I subtracted 1, right? So how do I get from 4 to y? Subtract 3. So my y is going to be 1. So my y-intercept is going to be 0, 1. So to find y-intercept from a table, I have to first find the slope and then work backwards to find the 0. DJ, no thank you. That's distracting. Okay, let's look at B. To find the y-intercept, I have to find where x is 0. Do I know where x is 0? No, I don't. So I have to figure it out. I want this to be 0. To figure that out, I have to first find the slope. We got to find the slope. Let's look at the slope. Is there a pattern? What is it? Plus 3. Is there a pattern? Plus 1. So if I have to go backwards 1, I have to go backwards 3. So my y-intercept is going to be 0, 0. Okay. So for your questions? It's tricky. It's tricky. That's why we're practicing it today, so we can get better at it. Maggie? Let's look at the equations. So the equation for this one would be y equals the slope, right, plus the y-intercept. So the equation would be this one. The other one would be y equals 3x. Plus 0, but we don't have to write the plus 0. Because there's no, the y-intercept is 0, 0. We don't need to write plus 0. You automatically don't do it, right? Exactly. All right. Quick review of last class. We talked about if we make changes to the slope or y-intercept, what happens to the line. So if I have this equation, 3x plus 1, if I change that 1 to plus 8, what happens to my graph? If I change the y-intercept from 1 to 8, what happens to my line? It's going to go up. It's going to go higher on the graph. If I change that to minus 6, what happens to my graph? It goes down. So the y-intercept controls the height on the graph. As opposed to the slope, if I change that to 9, what would happen to my line? It'd be steeper, right? And if I change that to 1, what happens to my slope? It gets less. So the slope controls the steepness. The y-intercept controls the height, controls the up or the down. That make sense? All right, so take a look in your book. And you're down at the bottom of page 164. There are 2 questions about Nina wanting to sign up for swim classes. I want you to look at the school swim classes and the recreation center swim classes, those 2 tables. Take those tables, fill them in, tell me the y-intercept, the slope, and the equation. Fill in the table, tell me the y-intercept, the slope, and the equation. Clarifying questions? Get it?
Got it.
All right, let's do it. Bella, thank you. Nope, not this time. So we start the school swim classes. So at the school swim class, they charge $6 per visit. So if I go one time, how much is it going to cost? Okay. Worth thinking. There you go. DJ, get the first one started. She's taking classes. The one is $6 per visit. So if she goes one time, it's going to cost how much? $6 to fill in the table. Okay. So this one, she's going to have to pay $15 plus $3. So the first visit's going to be $18. And then we're going to add. Yeah. Right. Your tandem pencil sharpening happening at the same time. Okay, that works, right? All right. Now you're going to take a look at, you've been the second one. Exactly. Now find me the y-intercept, the slope in the equation. Okay. I'm going to come back in a second, check mine. I'll just scribble over here.
I wasn't here.
So you're on the right step. So then if each one's $3, the next one's going to be 21, then 24, then 27. See it?
Sure.
Okay, now based on what we did there, can you find the y-intercept? Can you find the slope and find the y-intercept like we just practiced? Katie?
I have a question.
There's a bigger independent work time. When we get to the cutting part, when we get to the race car part, that would be a great time for us to have more time for conversation. Okay, because you're going to come back and work in a small group with me, so we can have more of that conversation then too. Is both of you are? Once upon a cool motorcycle dude. All right, nice book. Sharon Johnson. All right, please pair with someone next to you. Pair with your elbow buddy. Does your thinking match their thinking?
For this one, would it be 18?
Yes, because you have that $15 base plus the $3 per class, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then check your work. You can work with Jonathan and Karen. Check them with them. DJ, you can check in with Sabri and Bella and see if your answer matches theirs.
Yeah, I just said y equals 3x plus 15, so
3x plus 15.
I just wrote those and that's the other way.
And we're refocusing. Quick question before we begin.
For this one, you only pay 15 points, right?
Is that right? Or
So the first time,
You pay, that's your y-intercept, it's your base, right, is 15, and then it's $3 per lesson.
so
So it's 18, 21, 24, 27.
to be honest with me, that really doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Because
Liam, you don't have to pay the $50. Every time you go, you're not paying a $15 registration fee.
is this saying if you go, that's what I was telling him.
So you pay the registration fee once.
If you go to visit twice, that means you're paying $3. That means you're paying $6.
no, it doesn't go from
Plus
18 to
15.
36.
You have to pay the registration fee, right? 15 plus 3 plus 3. So it'd be 21.
Is this how much you're paying in total, or is this how
Right.
much?
All in total all together. See it now? What's that? It's recording me. All right, and refocus in 3, 2, 1. Heard some good conversations going on through there. For the first one, for the swim classes, if I go for one class, how much is it going to cost me? $6. So we have our 6, 12, 18, 24. Great job with that. Y-intercept. I have to find the slope first, right? So what's the slope? Is there a pattern? What's the pattern? Plus 6. Plus 6. And then this is plus 1. So my slope would be what? Plus 6. My slope is 6. And my y-intercept, back it up. I have to find the 0. So if I back it up, my y is going to be 0. So my y-intercept is 0, 0. Thumbs up if you got that one. Aiden got that one? Thank you. Liam, thank you. Awesome. Thumbs down. Next one. And then the equation would be y equals 6x. Plus 0, but we don't have to write the plus 0. Second one, recreation center. Now I have to pay a registration fee. I have to pay $15. So if I go, I pay $15 plus $3 per class, right? So that one swim is going to be 18. Then 3 more, then 3 more, then 3 more. So for this one, to get to 0, I have to subtract 3, so it's going to be 15. So my y-intercept is 0, 15, and my slope is 3 for this one. And my equation changes y to 3x plus 15. Okay. Clarifying questions that you or your partner had as you took a look at that.